let's start off. We'll get to the game. But that's important. But there was some news earlier today that came from Shams Charania over at The Athletic talking about our favorite subject, trades. I wish this was over, but it's not.
It's never going to be over.
We're going to talk about it anyways. He reported earlier today that the Suns had shown some interest in John Collins, but were unwilling to pay future money. They want a 1-year contract, it sounds like, in this. So they're interested, but they're not interested. He also named Kyle Kuzma, Harrison Barnes, and KJ Martin of the Houston Rockets as guys that this team is looking. Say Kyle Kuzma. That was the first guy I said.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah, it was Kyle Kuzma.
And Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
Twice. He's so nice twice. So what I found interesting, I'd like to start here, guys, is the phrasing that was used about the interest in John Collins, but they're not willing to take on long-term money. To me, that stood out as the ownership issue isn't going to allow them to spend beyond this year. What did you guys think about that?
I mean, it makes sense. With the ownership change, I could see why Sarver would be like, man, I'm not giving these dudes any money. Hell no. And he's probably going to wait until after the trade deadline too, just to spite us.
That's
like,
the thought.
it's just, it doesn't surprise me. And just to be clear, like, I think the moving of pieces is because Jae Crowder's on a 1-year deal and John Collins is on extended, multi-year deal still left, right? Yeah. If they were both 1-year deals and they could swap, or if Jae was had the same amount of time as John Collins, then I think they would swap. But in this regard, I could see why that would be a sticking point.
It's just weird to even bring it up. Like, his contract is what it is. Like, it's not going to change. So I don't know why, unless you're right on the money with the ownership thing, why it would even be included in the report.
Well, my other thought is maybe somebody in that front office leaked this because they're frustrated because they're kind of handcuffed. Total speculation. I have no sources on that. But that's the only way that language makes any sense to me is somebody in that front office said, we are interested in John Collins, but we're not allowed to trade for him. So what do you think on the subject?
I think we're not trading for a starter, and I think that's starter money. And I think that's another big deal is that if we're going to bring John Collins in to come off the bench when he's getting all this PT in Atlanta, paying all that money for some dude to come off the bench just doesn't seem right, because paying what Crowder probably wanted for him to come off the bench was probably going to be really bad too. So I think that they're planning on Cam Johnson to keep starting. So I think whatever we get is going to be a bench player, and paying John Collins money for a bench player just doesn't seem good for James Jones even.
Yeah, I think that's also a great point on that front. One other thing that was mentioned in the article is they may not be able to trade future assets, implying they can't trade any of those first-round picks, which seems like a very weird thing to implement. Even if you're Sarver selling this team, what the hell does he care if they trade some first-round picks?
Do the owners have to sign off on every deal?
I assume so, because it's money. Their money.
I would. If I was James Jones, is like, hey, fuck that bitch.
Well, because he's technically not supposed to be involved with any basketball decisions. He's supposed to be suspended away from the team. So, I don't know how that all works. But obviously, Sam Garvin, we've talked about him in the past. It's going through him right now. So maybe he is the one that's not allowing anything to go through. But that's weird, because if that's the case, they're not getting shit for Jae Crowder if they can't include picks. Say hello to Grayson Allen, because that's what we're looking at now.
I think it would just be petty for it to be an ownership thing, even because he's getting $4 billion from this team regardless. It doesn't matter if we give somebody 5 years, $90 million. It doesn't matter who the next future contract is. He's not going to be dealing with it, and he's getting way more than he bought this team for either way. So if he gave explicit rules to the person that's covering for him that don't spend any of my money, then that would just be weird, because he's making money off of this regardless of what happens.
Well, Gerald, I love that you're like, the rule says he can't. Dude is involved. Yeah. I don't care if he and Sam Garvin are going out to bowl or something. He's like, hey, don't spend any of my money. That's happening. But I do love that you assume he's sticking to the rules.
No, and it could be, but like that's the thing is a lot of these trades they have to be close in salary, so it's not like he's going to be spending that much more of his money. Like if you were able to trade, peanuts for John Collins and you're taking on 125, okay, I get that, but like they got to be at least close.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the key thing here.
What's
pettiness.
that?
Pettiness does a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah.
And we have a 43-page report that shows pettiness in full scale. I talked a little bit more about this earlier in one of our PHNX Suns fast takes on the audio feed, an audio-only special. So head over there if you want to hear more on Robert Sarver and the trade implications of all that.
But in regards to the other moves or the other names that were played there, there was one guy out there that squashed a lot of that. Emma? I actually really like Gambo.
Oh, I do too.
But he is definitely the trade reaper.
You
If you think that there is a trade out there to be had, he will come and he will squash it quickly. But he did not deny that the Suns are interested in Kuzma.
Yeah, he said, hell no on John Collins. They're not interested. Okay.
Fine.
We couldn't tell from the report if they were or weren't anyway.
Right.
They were attracted but didn't like the money. I don't know. But you're right. Somebody else asked, well, what about Kyle Kuzma? And he's like, I can't rule it out, which to me says they're interested in Kyle Kuzma.
What about KD? Can you play that again one more time there, Emma? What about KD? No, okay. So
No, KD.
No, KD is out
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm pretty sure you can say pretty much any name right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Grayson Allen? Nope.
Grayson Allen?
Nope.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we
Wow.
go. Yeah.
Gambo the
Yeah.
Gambo the trade reaper will be coming back multiple times over the next few weeks. I had KJ Martin also mentioned and Harrison Barnes. Of those three, any of them tickle your fancy?
I mean, I feel like Harrison Barnes is still the best case scenario in that group, but like Gambo pointed out, and like we've been saying, like the Kings, they're kind of been on a tear lately.
Okay.
They're trying to win this season. Like you can never rule out the Kings doing something stupid, especially because Barnes, I think he's in the last year of his contract. So maybe if things aren't working out, we can revisit it later, but it doesn't seem like they're in any rush to move him. I wouldn't be opposed to Kuzma. I like Kuzma, but the Wizards, they're trying to win too, so that would have to be closer to the deadline as well.
Yeah, they're trying to win.
Again,
They're trying. They're not succeeding, but they're trying.
That's why most GMs wait until after the 25-game mark,
Right.
because reality sets in at about that time, and you realize, yeah, we don't have a chance in hell, so let's go ahead and move some of these assets and get some better pieces in play. So, it's interesting. I like Kuz. I think he has a good all-around game that would fit this Suns team pretty well. We haven't really seen him compete at a high level since he was with the Lakers, but he did very well there. And so, I would love to see that.
Yeah, I like Kuz. Like that's probably the one I would probably be most excited for. I think Book wouldn't have to play all those like first quarter minutes with the second unit. I think he would probably end up getting a lot of those shots, and the offense would end up running through him in campaign probably. And it would just help with the rest factor. It would just help with, even when CP3 gets back, a dude that can get a bucket and Monty not having to rush to get the starters in or hope for dear God they can hold on to the lead. I think just having a dude that can get a bucket on the bench and get to the free throw line, which is a really big deal for this team, I think Kuzma would probably be like the best case scenario.
Yeah, Book will get fewer minutes, but we'll have to keep Kendall away from the team.
Always
I wasn't going to say it.
It's a factor.
Yeah, but you know what? There's plenty of people that can get along, even though they're like Eskimo buddies. It's okay.
Oh, man.
No? Did I say something wrong?
I didn't. I mean, not factually. So I also... I want to contest one thing. I wonder if Jae Crowder is a piece that the Kings or the Wizards look at and go, okay, we've tried it with Kuz. We've tried it with Harrison Barnes. We haven't succeeded there. But Jae Crowder's a guy that's been to finals, can give me a lot of what I'm looking for from a guy. Maybe I'll take a chance here just because, especially in the Kings scenario, because Harrison Barnes hasn't been playing great there this year.
Yeah, but I don't know. If I'm the Kings, I'm going to trade Harrison Barnes for Jae Crowder. I don't know. I don't really feel like that adds up. I feel like it's kind of you're just swapping two guys to get them out of the place that they're in right now.
Yeah, but they could get Landry Shaman too.
They can take
I
Landry
think
Shaman.
any trade that we do, I think there's going to be a third team in any scenario. I think that a contender wants Crowder, so I still think he's going to end up on the Bucks or the Heat or something like that. And I think that it's just going to be a random third team where we get somebody that we want for, because I don't think we want anybody from the Bucks or Miami Heat.
I want a 5-team trade.
Oh,
I want the most complicated trade we could get. Hello in the chat says Buddy Hield. I would take Buddy Hield in a heartbeat. I think that would be an interesting bench piece for sure. Uriel says Barnes is washed.
Yeah,
Still could give you more than Jay's giving you.
yeah. He's down to 12 points a game, 44% shooting, only 25% from three. It could be just a rough fit with the Kings, but yeah, I agree with Aaron. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a straight up team because a lot of the contenders aren't going to give the Suns the piece back that they need. Maybe a team like the Kings might make sense if Barnes continues to struggle and the Kings continue to push in the right direction. Maybe they're thinking, okay, if we can get Crowder and he can just give us, sporadic shooting and really good defense, we'll be able to take it to another level. But like the Wizards, like either Kuzma would have to kind of tail off and they'd have to continue try winning, or they'd have to tank. And at that point, what does Crowder do for you? Like it's probably going to involve a third team.